So we are bringing on to the stage Nelsie Garcia. Nelsie, you didn't put
Hola.
your see, this new thing didn't put your name up. You see?
I follow directions.
You do. Okay. Nelsie Garcia de Leon, MSW, and Liz Roberts of Proyecto Faro. Welcome to the stage. Welcome to the show. Y'all, Nelsie been here since 10 o'clock. Okay. Nelsie been here since 10 o'clock. Like, when we getting this going?
I'm Dominican. I'm always late. So for this, I needed to be on time.
Okay, well, I appreciate you so much. Proyecto Faro is an immigrant-led grassroots organization allied with immigrant and non-immigrant religious and secular communities and organizations to build support for and action among those in Rockland County, New York, who feel insecure due to their immigration status. And they strive to create solidarity across boundaries of legal status, country of origin, and religious affiliation. So thank you all already for your service. I want to play a video real quick that just highlights some of the real life experiences that people are having with the current administration's deportation and their deportation practices and the ways in which they are actively terrorizing people, and what your organization works to help people know how to handle. Hold on one second. I think a lot of people are not really understanding they don't really understand the full scope of things until they see it in real life, and so that's why we love to show them.
See, I got you, sir.
Where you come from?
I don't answer any questions, sir.
I'm sorry?
I don't answer any questions, sir.
Oh, you don't want to answer any questions? Are you a citizen, sir? That one you do have to answer.
Actually, I don't, sir.
Yes, you do. Are you a United States citizen, sir?
You think I have to answer that question?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, I know you're asking, but I'm not obligated to tell you, sir. You know why, though? Because I haven't committed any crime, sir. Nor I'm gonna commit any crime.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something, sir. You're wrong. Okay?
Here, point the camera to him just in case he wants to violate my rights. Just hold it right here.
All right. You guys have a nice day. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Lyons is in Chicago.
What are you doing here, bro?
Please.
Get out of my house. Leave. Okay. Go. Okay. Go. Stop harassing, bro. Leave. You guys gotta go.
So,
you got my door open? Are you guys knocking, or are you just trying to knock it down?
is this your house?
This is my house. I live here.
What's your name?
Don't worry about my name. You gotta get up out of here, dude. It's time for you guys to go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You guys can leave. Have a good day.
Okay.
Stop trying to break into people's house, dude. Oh my God!
ICE agents swarmed a vehicle on Monday in Spokane Valley, breaking its windows and forcibly arresting 2 people. Kayla, who was 7 months pregnant, repeatedly asked agents to show a warrant, but they refused. Her husband was in the process of obtaining a green card. ICE said there were active charges for their arrests, though their attorney says there is no warrant in the system.
By the way, ICE also accused them of being members of Venezuelan gangs, which is now the new just like overall application of you don't count. And by the way, also the Supreme Court has lifted a court order blocking President Trump from deporting Venezuelans under a rarely used 1798 wartime law. And according to a 60 Minutes investigation, of the 238 Venezuelan migrants flown from Texas to the mega prison in El Salvador, a vast majority of them do not have a criminal record. So right now, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is the face of this. However, there are many individuals who are not named yet who are also facing the same terrorizing. And this is a nationwide issue that nobody was protesting at these hands-off protests, which pissed me off, by the way, because they're like, hands off our Social Security. I'm like, yeah, but also hands off the human beings in our midst. So I'm off my soapbox. Okay. Liz and Nelsie, please tell us about Proyecto Faro, how you all began, the work you're doing, how people can support, all the above.
Well, thank you so much for having us, first of all. We're very glad to be here, to be able to showcase our work and hopefully get people to feel more empowered to be nice to each other, whether you're black, white, yellow, brown, religious or not. I think one of the things that we can consider everybody, it's a human, and that should be enough to be able to, for us to be kind to one another. Just quickly, Proyecto Faro came about 2016, 2017, during the first Trump administration. But originally, it was really because there was a hurricane in our area that a lot of people lost their homes, and they had to organize and really get a group together. And so that's how Proyecto Faro was born. And also because of the Trump administration, the first administration. And Liz, you can talk more about it.
Yes, Charo Ureña, who was our founder, was involved in getting those folks who were displaced by Hurricane Sandy the support they needed from the state, because FEMA was dragging its feet. So until the very last person got their relief checks, they weren't going to stop. And so there was a whole community that had sort of come together of progressive folks to support those displaced folks. And when Trump was elected, Charo said, we need an immigrant-led organization that's addressing, these real threats and these real terrors that folks are experiencing because of the policies they were trying to roll out then. And so, we, have as our focus social change and organizing to make change. But in the sort of immediate moment, there's just real need. So we began doing a bunch of things related to material support, making sure people had clothing, had food. If people were facing deportation or lost a breadwinner, that there was support. And our first program was a legal empowerment program. And Charo and some other folks got some training to do legal empowerment work. They, we didn't have lawyers, but we were also connecting folks with lawyers from a partner organization who now we work very closely with, the Center for Safety and Change. But the idea was that immigrants should be taking charge of their cases, whatever the direction of the case. And so if it meant that they didn't stand a good chance of asylum, that they should know those things, and that they should figure out what their alternatives were. And we still have an empowerment focus of our legal support work. But I'll let your questions guide us and Nelsie's responses.
I can add a little bit more. If you
please.
So, because of that work, people were coming in with different needs. And so we decided to open up what we call the free store, which is a store that anybody can come and donate clothes or toiletries or items for the homes, and plates, cups, nice mugs as well, and things like that. For the community in need, because that they just didn't need legal work or legal representation. They also needed things for their homes, for when they first arrive. They don't have clothes, the weather is different, things like that. So that came about. Then we also have do
I got
food
stuff for y'all.
distribution. Oh, please bring them.
I have stuff for y'all.
Bring them. We also have a food distribution program for our community members in need. And I just want to point out that during the pandemic, we've had our own immigrant, undocumented community bringing food to people in that community that were not immigrants, that were just people that needed help, like seniors that couldn't get out of their homes. So it felt good to see community members in need giving to community members in need. And we also do educational justice work as well.
Did you see a difference in the needs of your work when the administration changed? Like, do you feel like when Liz is like, do you
what did we not see?
Because I just feel like there's this false sensibility that this is an administration thing and not an American thing. And so I'd love to hear if I'm right in that assertion from you guys who are on the ground. Like, do you feel like during the Biden administration, the necessity for your work was alleviated at all? Go on, white lady, say it. Because this is a question I want to hear from a white woman about.
Yeah. So, I mean, we definitely, there were things that shifted, but, so we were seeing less in the way of ICE enforcement.
Yeah.
And less threat in that regard, but the need did not diminish at all. I mean, there was, I think, a very steady flow of newcomers, and so we're in a county where housing is through the roof. There's like very little affordable housing. It's an expensive place to live just outside of New York City. And folks, have come here because they have, family members here. They might know someone here. And it's always been, a beautiful community because of the diverse range of immigrants that have been coming here.
Yeah.
But we have also seen that, there's never any resources that come from, state infrastructure that immigrants are not able to access most of the programs that are there for folks who are working poor or who are looking for work. And so there's an added challenge to just material needs being met. And so folks through word of mouth would find their way to us because immigrants were running our programs. Volunteers from the communities that have been impacted are doing the food distribution. They're, coming back to volunteer in the legal work. They're running the free store. And so the idea is that word gets out, like, these are folks you can trust. You don't have to show ID. You don't have to worry about, being in public and seeking support, because there had been a lot of distrust of, the few resources that were available. People still felt quite nervous about the county. A lot of immigrants would go through different agencies in the county and be mistreated, just be disrespected because their English wasn't great, or, and so that was a gap that Charo really saw, that, folks needed a safe and welcoming place.
I really feel like is Proyecto Faro just in Rockland?
Yes, for now.
Because I'm like, can y'all franchise this? Because I wonder in the onset of things now, how are you all managing in terms of being able to even be as supportive as you would like to? Like, what are your immediate needs?
That's a good question. So we, as you know, we are a grassroots organization. We relied on people in the community, small businesses, and just people who are, who have the capacity to help out financially, for us to be able to do our work. We have a lot of volunteers, but we also have a lot of overhead that we have to pay, that comes from us fundraising, really.
Well, and just rent and utilities and all the things. But in terms of need right now, because of the new, administration, the return of the terrible Trump process of xenophobia as policy, we basically are, needing to train as many community members, as many allies as possible, and know your rights. You showed these great videos, and what we know is that people's, informed and prepared position when they're out just wandering, through the community, living their lives, is that we have rights. Everybody has rights regardless of your immigration status. And so knowing those rights and then knowing how to assert them when being faced with ICE. And so we've done a lot of Know Your Rights training since the election, and we're going to continue to do them. And we've been building a rapid response network that is full of trained allies, basically, who have whether it's white skin privilege, because we know they're just racially profiling people. We know that even if you are here legally, you are it's possible you could get swept up, and people have been. And so we are really encouraging folks who are less likely to be racially profiled to get trained to be part of this rapid response network so that they can be on site if there's an ICE action happening, to help those who are being targeted to defend themselves and basically assert their rights. And we know that that's the knowledge of one's rights regarding ICE enforcement, and also having sort of an emergency family plan created. Those are the two most important things that we are trying to support community members with right now, and those are the ways that we've been able to keep people safe overall in the country. We've seen these articles where people, because they've been asserting their rights, like the ones you've shown in these videos, they're not meeting their numbers. They're certainly getting folks, but they're not meeting their target goals of millions of deportations.
And I just want to add that this issue is not only affecting the people that are undocumented, like Lizzie, or that look Hispanic or from another country. They're also affecting the community. We have a large population in the East Ramapo Central School District who are dealing with injustices in terms of education, but now injustices.
They've been dealing with injustices in Ramapo. God,
thank you.
Dang.
Thank you. It's insane. So
Ramapo been getting rammed for a long time.
Very sad. So the students, they are.
Wait, real quick. By the way, if you want to hear more about the Ramapo School District and how they've been getting rammed by the Hasidic community, you can listen to a really great episode of Ira Glass, This American Life on it from 2014. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we actually have a lot of the parents on the comments that are from our little group. It's called Empower Parents, Parents Empoderados. And they actually, I messaged them like, hey, we're going to go on at 10:30.
Welcome, parents! Buenos dias!
I see Terry Rodriguez and Mary Mora on the chat. So thank you guys for being here. So what I was saying was that this is not only affecting the people going through the immigration situation, but also the family members and community members who have friends who were taken by ICE, or in East Ramapo, for example, there are about 40 students who received a letter that they have to self-deport by April 25th, I believe.
Students.
These are students, literally students.
Like minors?
Like, yes, students. Like you can't let them finish school at least. It's insane.
They're not being targeted alone. This is a letter that anyone who's registered with USCIS, and has sort of been.
What's CIS?
So it's the immigration system, and
okay,
and so when they want for folks to register, basically, to move their cases forward. And in the case of this particular program, the letter that Nelsie's referencing, it was a program that Biden created, the CPB-1. They were inviting.
This is the app, right?
Yes, exactly. And
okay.
So they were inviting folks in because of the country conditions. That these were folks who were, basically facing really, really.
Wait, can we just pause real quick? Because Liz, your chin is getting cut off, and like the neurodivergent in me is dying. Can we bring your camera up or down just a little bit so we can see? Yeah.
Applause for
yes. Welcome, the full face of Liz. All right, keep going.
So yeah, there basically were a huge number of folks that were invited in from countries like Venezuela, from Cuba, from Honduras. They basically Haiti, and they and it was acknowledged by the Biden administration that these folks, needed to have a safe opportunity to live, to create lives, support their families, and they were invited in, and they were here under the invitation of the U.S. government. And then, of course, Trump has now rescinded this program, and these letters.
But he's also criminalized it. That's the part.
That's right. And so these letters have gone to a lot of people, but we're also just horrified that minors, children, and a number of whom were unaccompanied when they came here. What are they supposed to do? Children are supposed to just somehow make their way to these dangerous places that, where they probably at this point don't know, or have a set community. And so we're focusing on that. We have an emergency meeting tonight, actually, to try to mobilize allies around the targeting of young people and to push for an injunction on this particular policy, but it's
how do you do that? How do you push for the injunction?
Well, we're basically doing we're pushing folks to do letter writing and to visit their reps, and for organizations and congregations to come out and pressure reps. And we're still learning the sort of legal steps that we need to take, but it's to basically.
Do you have lawyers helping you?
Well, we alone are not able to do a suit right now with all of the things that we're undertaking, but we're part of the New York Immigration Coalition, which is the New York State Immigration Coalition. And so we're consulting with them about each of these, and they're involved in litigation as well. We're a community-based organization trying to make sure that, the needs of folks,
of course,
here are, and yet many of us are we have organizer brains, and we're thinking like, how do we use the opportunity that we have to educate people about, these human rights abuses and this kind of completely immoral targeting of young people, and to raise awareness that, this is not about criminals. This is really, it's about terrorizing people and trying to, bring about a fantasy white nation. That's what their goals are.
Mind you, they've never had one. They've never had a white nation that didn't exist on slave labor. Before they had other slaves, they had whites as slaves. They were called peasants.
Yeah,
did we learn about this? We learned about this in medieval times. Like, this was the filial system, the feudal system. I did a whole report on it in Miss Newspickle's class. So, okay. We're gonna get some questions. By the way, Adrian, people see that the pink came back and they're like, "Oh my God, StreamYard fixed it." Now I fixed it. I fixed it. And they were peasants and serfs. They were serfs. That's what it was. It wasn't peasants. They were serfs. So we're gonna get to some questions. There's. By the way, side note, someone asked, "What can the public do for impeachment?" Let me just tell you something right now. If the goal is impeachment, then the easiest way to get the public hype about impeachment is to talk about their money. So it's like, if all this thing in my opinion, all this thing that happened this weekend where everyone's like, down with Trump, we want Social Security. If that's what it takes, then it's like, fine, let them go about their business. But I am a very big believer that the root of these types of problems is so much deeper, and it's about a lack of connection with humanity. Exactly. And the United States has effectively implemented for decades an effective methodology to disconnect us from our empathy. And they've done that through media, they've done that through legislation, they've done that through media, it's like through books, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's just this constant effort to train us to only care about us.
And then making it okay to talk, like making it okay to say things that usually, I don't know, back when I came here in 2005, 2006 for the first time to the United States, it wasn't okay to talk all these crazy things out loud. Like, yes, you can think it in your head, but just making it, just having a conversation about all these bad things about other people. Like, why is it okay to do that? It's like,
we're living in a time of there's I think during the pandemic, there's people that have many thoughts about this, but they say that essentially it was like the pandemic kind of was a time when like Pandora's box was open, and that this age of Aquarius that we're in, depending on how woo-woo you want to get about it, was kind of like this opening of like a portal of darkness. And there's always been terrible people. However, it does feel like we're back in a time where that's the vibe.
It's always been a white supremacist and settler nation, and until we reckon with our history, the institutions are not, we have to transform the institutions. And so, it doesn't matter whether you have a blue hat or a red hat in office when the institutions have really been examined and all of those structural inequalities are in place. And so, it's until we reconcile with that identity as a society, we aren't, really, because there's a lot of pretending, oh, racism ended in the civil rights movement. Well, what planet are people on?
You know what,
Sometimes
y'all? Liz Roberts just got dubbed
High quality Caucasians here. Very high
a
quality
high
Caucasians
quality
here.
Caucasian. You're a high quality Caucasian. You just got an HQW rating. Good for you.
Great honor.
We don't give that out loose. All right. We don't give that out all willy nilly. All right.
Liz graduated.
I'm just turned.
Nelsie said Liz graduated. High quality Caucasians here. High quality Caucasians.
I like it.
All right, let's go to a question. Cassie Carnahan says, are governors in sanctuary cities able to stop ICE in any way?
You know, it's federal, so it's like we, you know, sanctuary states can and should be, and I am not an expert, but you know, the things that I've been learning through this process, you know, is that there's this kind of a dance that happens, right? It depends. Like we happen to live in a county where we have a real trumper for a county executive, and we have like a super racist sheriff, and we have a lot of MAGA people that are in law enforcement here. And while they say that they don't cooperate with ICE, we have reason to believe that they also are not. They're not actually trying to. They're not involving themselves in like whether ICE is adhering to.
Right.
Know,
they're not helping, but they're also not
doing anything about it.
A big piece of the Know Your Rights training that we, you know, are encouraging people to do is to document, right? And the documents that the films you showed show how when they do violate the law, it's crucial to have that as evidence, because that can actually allow a lawyer to argue for the release of somebody if they are detained. Like the documenting of anything that is done that is not by the letter of the law becomes evidence that could actually protect that person that was targeted. So, you know, if they don't produce a judicial warrant, a signed judicial warrant, and they just have this warrant from Homeland Security and it's not signed by a judge, and they still take somebody, if that's documented and it's provable that that's what happened, then it actually puts ICE in a, you know, defensive position where that person is concerned. And so you can't really trust law enforcement for the most part. We do have some police departments in Rockland where there are immigrants that are on the force who are a little more sympathetic and probably would, you know, never want to, you know, participate, but they also, you know, they do their own thing. They really operate with their own kind of, it seems, lawlessness, really. I mean, because the majority of the time that they try to detain people, they don't have a signed judicial warrant. And that's why knowing your rights and demanding to see a signed judicial warrant with a current date is a huge protection for people.
So a judicial warrant, if I understand, is essentially that this has been brought before a judge, and a judge has complied with the evidence that has been presented that suggests that this person is a criminal and thus should be arrested. And the reason why I can't believe I have to say this, the reason why this is necessary is because this is an actual carrying out of habeas corpus, which is due process, and it is a reflection of the actual U.S. Constitution. When there is no actual warrant, which is why when you watch shows like Power or Law and Order, etc., like the reason why they're always standing before a judge like, please give us this warrant, and the judge is like, I can't really do that, you ain't proved it yet, you haven't proved it yet, so that's why it's a problem. Whereas here they're really just saying we don't need a judge, and and we see this happening on multiple levels, right? So we see this with ICE, then we're seeing it with them saying, yeah, I know the judge said we couldn't send these people on this plane, but we're going to do it anyway. And now, you know, I don't know what the update is today, but I am pretty sure that Kilmar did not make it back last night before the judge's imposed deadline of 11:59. And so, Nelsie, how are the members of your community who are not strong English speakers, what are they doing to, you know, or what is Proyecto Faro doing to help why does the accent happen for me? I hate that, y'all. That's part of my autism. I literally started saying, what is Proyecto Faro doing?
I like it. I like it.
My autism makes me mimic, and I don't mean, like, sometimes people feel it's offensive. So I'm glad you don't feel it's offensive, because it's not.
No,
It's just
no.
like, it's like I'm trying to relate to you. Like, so
like
what is
it.
Proyecto Faro doing to empower those who do not consider English their main, primero language?
I love it. Okay,
Gracias.
de nada. Okay, so we are actually doing the Know Your Rights training for in Spanish and in English, and we also have Creole speaking people in our community who needs assistance with that too. We're just trying to send out information as much as we can in every language that we can, honestly.
Right.
We have a lot of people that are volunteers, and also employees of Proyecto Faro who speak both languages, and so we're
Right.
able to go with them to their court cases, translate documents for them, and things like that.
We've been distributing a lot of the Know Your Rights cards in multiple languages, these small wallet cards, the red cards, because we know that, folks may not always bump into us or learn about our work, but we've made sure that, throughout the county in loads of businesses, there's, these stacks of cards also. So folks.
If we see that ICE is in our community in Rockland County, we are able to confirm it, we put it out on our WhatsApp channels and on social media to alert the community, like, hey, ICE is here, be careful, walk with caution,
Yeah.
drive with caution. So just to make them be aware. And it's good and bad, because at the same time they get scared, and that's not what we want. We want them to be aware and also know their rights, just in case they are approached or they come to their house. We have, for example, my 9-year-old son, once he knows a lot about things that are happening, because I work in government. He sees me going to protests. He sees the work that I do. He sees me with Liz and my colleagues in meetings all the time on Zoom. So he knows what's going on. And the first thing that he asked when the Trump administration took over was if I was going to be okay, my family was going to be okay. Then it was like, he's 9 years old, third grade. His friends are from his bestie is from Guatemala. So he's asking about his best friend. Is his best friend is going to be okay? All these things trickle down to everybody in the community, not just the person suffering the issue, but everybody in the community. Especially with these Islamopol kids, like it was an emergency call to our organization for Dilcia, who is the other co-executive director, to go into the district by the district to go into the district to speak about know their rights and things like that, like a preparation, because the students were crying, they didn't know what to do, and so this is when we come into play.
Have you had any pushback from the community, the sheriff, or any of the lawmakers for the work you're doing?
We haven't had anything yet. We did go toe to toe with the county executive a few years ago when they just were sort of making a lot of really xenophobic statements in public when Eric Adams was trying to have buses of asylum seekers sent to various counties around New York City. And they actually, got an injunction to prevent those buses from coming here. And so we had a big exchange with them, and they, tried to discredit us. We just had an op-ed exchange. And the county executive discredited us. Interestingly enough, because this was a few years ago, this was around the fact that we had applied for county money. We were encouraged to apply for some county money because the county, supports a lot of different nonprofits. And, we had been getting awards, initially from them. So when we applied for county funding, they had a disclaimer that in order to receive county funding, you essentially had to discount the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, that was basically struggling, a nonviolent movement to, support Palestinian liberation. And we said, there's no way we're going to discount that, and we didn't make any position about that issue, but they were literally, preventing people, if you don't pass this, Zionist purity, test, you don't get county money. And that's how they kind of control the nonprofits in the county from, speaking out about, human rights abuses.
Right. Which are multiple, right? Which are layered. It's like, so you can fight, you guys can do this human rights abuse, but you can't address this one.
So they claimed in this op-ed that we were anti-Semitic because we
of course. Well, I mean, that's at this point, that's a badge. I mean, at this point, it's like it's being misused so gleefully and willfully that it's taken its actual. They need to make an actual real name for when people actually dislike Jewish people, because that word is no longer valid. I mean, that's just not valid. There are people who literally dislike people for being Jewish. And what's odd is that the Zionists be ponying up with them. So I don't get it.
Yeah. Zionism means one thing and anti-Semitic means another thing. And yet we were, not even talking about that in the op-ed, but instead of addressing the real claims that the things they were saying were completely xenophobic and dangerous to our immigrant neighbors, that was they didn't have a response. And so they
just pulled that one out the hat.
And I just want to mention, immigrants, just in 2021, immigrants brought about $30 billion in taxes. And we don't get, they don't get that money back because they can't get Social Security. They can't get a lot of the benefits that they put into. So it's important to know that, because a lot of people
there's something before the House,
that.
I believe. There's something before Congress right now that could change the IRS previously protecting everyone's information. And now they're saying that the IRS is going to be handing over immigrants' information, people who have filled out and paid taxes, handing that over to ICE. And, this is again another example of fascism. I mean, we just have to say it just so it continues to be on record. It's also another way that it makes me concerned. How far does this go? And also like the performance of misusing so you want us to pay taxes and then you're using it to criminalize us. We're literally paying the taxes to not be criminalized, and also because it is a part of the process of becoming an immigrant. Like, they use it in court. Like, look, this person has paid taxes for the past 6 years. They want to be a part of this society, of this community. They are so dedicated to being a part of this community that they've been pouring into it, even though they haven't been able to take the benefits of it. Like, that's been the story. And now to use that information to then expel people from this nation is just, it's a wickedness. And it's also, the Venezuela situation is a whole other level. And I'm wondering when, or do the leaders of these nations ever say, hey, give us our people back? Like, because the Venezuelan prime minister, he had a lot to say, but I'm like, you said a lot. Why aren't you in? I'd have been in El Salvador if I was the president of Venezuela, but I'm not the president of Venezuela.
But
Yo soy no presidente.
There is a lot of people that don't have anything back home anymore. Like, for example, somebody called our organization over the weekend. Actually, somebody called me. She got my number from somebody. So on the weekend, I got this call about a person who her sister came here with a visa, the same she's from Haiti. And now she got the same letter that the Israel Post students received, having to self-deport by April 25th. And her sister was telling me she doesn't have anywhere to go because the gangs in Haiti, they destroy our home, they burn it. We don't have family. Our family died in Haiti because of violence, and the only family that she has are the family here. We are green card holders. We are not American citizens yet, but she doesn't have anywhere to go. And so how can this administration expect people to go back to their country when there is literally violence going on and
There's nothing
there's
to go
nothing to
back
go
to.
to? Yeah.
And we all know what Miriam says right here, which is that the U.S. government destabilizes, depletes the countries. It makes it to where there's nothing to actually return to. I wanted to ask some questions before we go. So we have Hamid, who says, Ms. Garcia de Leon and Ms. Roberts, what are some culturally specific things that can be donated to help with the unlawful actions being taken against immigrant and migrant families and individuals?
That's an interesting question. So culturally specific things that could be donated, it feels like it's related to the material support, like just that, I mean,
because people do feel a certain level of comfort when it's like, this is our thing. Like, do I need to be donating sazon?
Always.
Adobo?
Important.
The second,
Sofrito.
yeah. But yeah, the second part of the question sounds like it was really just addressing just these, the aggressive kind of state intervention and trying to remove people. So I'm not entirely sure how those connect. But
what are some culturally specific things that can be donated to help with the unlawful actions? I mean, honestly, I think he's just added. He's just contextualizing that these people are facing unlawful actions. The specific people are the immigrant and migrant families. Are there any culturally specific things that can be donated?
I think that while culture is important and we never forget about that, these people are a necessity of things that we use every day, like toothbrushes, toothpaste, sanitary things, clothes, coats, sneakers, diapers. We actually had Mom Demand Action in Rockland County do a toiletry drive and gave us a bunch of things that will definitely 100% help our community. We put ourselves to the side to kind of get our necessities together. And I think that's how people are when they first get here and when they're struggling with their lives to make things happen. So anything that you use every day that you don't think of, it's a necessity that they need.
I know the thing that gets overlooked often is feminine hygiene products. Yeah. That's the one that I feel like a lot of people don't think about, but that's the thing that is needed all the time, like tampons and pads and tampons.
We received a Facebook message from somebody who was using cloth as diapers in the United States in 2025. This is something that my mom did with my 40-year-old sister in Dominican Republic. Something that we take as a privilege or that we don't even think about, other people are like literally needing.
Without.
Yeah.
Last question from Susan Radke, Ms. Seals, and this panel. I live in a very diverse neighborhood, green card holders, asylum seekers, undocumented neighbors. How can I help them without them being suspicious of me? Susan is a high quality white, by the way.
Distributing those cards, those red cards, sharing those red cards with neighbors is a really helpful way so that they can also present them if they do encounter ICE. That's a good way to let folks know you're with
right.
them.
I'm down.
It's like, I know about your rights and I want to be sure you know about your rights. And so giving those out is really helpful.
And even if you're unsure if they have it or not, you can say, hey, this is for you or anybody that you know that is undocumented. That's what I do on my people that I may think something is going on. I just say, hey, can you share with your friends who may need it? Just so that they know. And I know that your question on that question, there was something on the bottom without being
suspicious.
Don't worry about that. We want to feel welcome. We're people. We want to feel love too. We are humans. I don't think like being suspicious is a bad thing. I think that people want to feel loved and feel like, oh my God, I can go to my neighbor if I need something.
I mean, I think that there's just, there is a growing paranoia that should be in place because people are shifty. And so it's like just trying to let people, there was this whole movement I remember during BLM where there was like, white ladies was like, we're going to wear a safety pin on I'm going to wear a safety pin on my lapel to let you know that I think Black people should be alive. And I was like, if that is helpful. But I think it's very important though to constantly tell people that, like you said, that people really just want to be like loved and heard. And so I'm also adding here where you can get the red cards so that you can print them out.
And another part of that question that I want to mention is get involved in your community. If you live in Rockland, please come to us. We have things that you can help us with. If you are in another part of the country or anywhere, there are many organizations that are pro-immigrants and need your help. Please get involved. Even if it's not monetary, your actions, you're going to help in a food drive or anything. Get involved, because that's how we make our little world better. Today for us, tomorrow could be you.
Today for us, tomorrow could be you. Is there anything else you'd like to leave these folks with before we head out?
I don't want to leave. But okay, I know we have to.
You don't have to leave. I got stuff to talk about. Y'all can stick around and talk about it with me. You don't gotta go. Trust me.
I mean, I think Nelsie just said it best. It's that our struggles are so interrelated. And so, before Trump was reelected, all of our focus had been on base building and power building among immigrants, but there's always that material need. So it's, that mutual aid combined with, building leadership among immigrants. And I feel like in general, that's what we need to be doing as communities in this time where so many of us are being targeted for our different identities and political beliefs. So that building community power is very much about seeing that intersection of our struggles and sharing skills and sharing resources and sharing in order to make sure everybody's taken care of materially, because it's a really, this is going to be a long haul struggle, and it's been a long haul struggle, and they're undoing so much that we're going to have a lot of catching up and rebuilding to do. And so the relationships that we build in that process of resisting and of standing up for justice and humanity, those things will be stronger when we're trying to shape things for remedy.
It's been 4 months, and look how crazy it has been. So
right. People are like, only 4 years. I'm like, it's been 4 months. Like, what are you talking about? My last question for you guys is, have you seen, or have you initiated, or have you been a part of any coalition building with other organizations that are doing this similar work?
Honestly, we couldn't do this without other organizations and our volunteers. So
awesome.
Yeah,
we have been involved with many organizations. Liz, you can talk
when
about
I was
it.
going to say, and again, New York Immigration Coalition has been a great sort of comfort to us in a time when it's easy to feel alone in our little county, so feeling connected to the work that they're doing, we're part of their campaigns. There's a Care for All campaign in New York that we are working on, which is about getting, legal representation for immigrants, so that just, everyone is entitled to legal representation. So even if you aren't, you don't have status, you should be able to have representation in court. And so for that. And so, the idea of building coalition is so key to not just, survival, but to get to the world that we want.
Well, thank you all so much. And the address, I'm assuming that people can mail things to, is available on Proyecto Faro Rockland.org. So I saw people in the chat asking about that. And I will definitely be looking to have you guys back to continue to keep us updated on, so remember, reach out if you ever want to come back and let people know about things that you're doing, if there's any actions or any urgent needs, etc. This is a community of people who are very action based. We have our live audience here, but then we also have our replay gang that also, shout out to the replay gang. They watch the show after. And
I just thought of one thing that was encouraging that I didn't mention, that I got in a Know Your Rights training, and I want your audience to hear this, because it's so 99, but this lawyer told us 99% of the time when they try to detain someone, they don't have a signed judicial warrant. That's a lot of
99.
That's what she said. She said it's so rare. So that's why everyone should be getting these Know Your Rights training, and everyone should be talking to their immigrant neighbors about the urgency of them understanding the importance of having a current signed judicial warrant, because it's so rare. And without it, the detention is not just, and it is not legal.
And so in doing so, in being able to speak to them and say, like, do you have a warrant? They are then able to stop the detention. Like,
they can't always, but ideally, if there are enough people around that know that this is not right and people are documenting, a lot of the time they leave.
I don't even think a lot of them are really ICE.
Well, I don't know. They may. Or
like I'd be seeing people that look like, it just looks like white boys in cosplay.
Goddess knows they could be lynching people for all we fucking know. So yes, excuse my French, but that idea that if you confront them and they do not have it, they are not supposed to be detaining that person. So that's why documenting it is so key, and that's why insisting that it be not just any warrant, but at an actual judicial warrant, from an immigration court, and that it be current.
We have one last thing I want to say. We have a bunch of community members who are part of our rapid response team. So that team, let's say we hear that ICE is in our community, and this person lives, let's say, in Nyack, and that person can get to Nyack real quick to be an eye there, and also record and let that person know in case the person doesn't speak English, know their rights and things like that. And we have a lot of community members who did the training for the rapid response team to be able to help our community. So I just want to thank them so much, and thank our volunteers, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you. Liz, who raised you?
Actually, a well-meaning liberal. but I was lucky enough to, have good political people around me. So, and I this has been my work for a very long time. So thanks for having us here. It really is so meaningful to feel connected in a time like this. And your audience has such awesome comments that have been really helpful. I just saw they've been smashing people's Ring cameras. So
didn't even know that. Thank you, Patricia, for putting us on.
Amanda, we have so many people in Faro that are like Liz, gringas, that are, pro-immigrant and just the same mentality as Liz. So you should come by and meet them sometimes, because you won't want to leave.
I love it. Thank you all so much, and you all keep up the good work. Chinga la migra. Okay. Oh man, y'all see the address right there. Okay. You can also go to Immigrant Legal Resource Center. They have the red cards for download as well. So thank you to both Nelsie and Liz for joining us, and look for the Proyecto Faro, so to speak, of your community, right? Listen, there's so many things that need to be resisted at this point. Enjoyed laughing and learning with you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Also, listen to the podcast. It's available everywhere pods are casted. Listen ad-free by subscribing to Patreon Amanda Seals. Come on and join the Seals Squad. Views from AmandaLand, live 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, with content on Thursday and Friday at YouTube Amanda Seals TV.